Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Today I'm joined by Dee Wallace. She's an actor who's probably best known for her role as Mary Taylor in the 1982 blockbuster science fiction film, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. We talk about her work on that film, as well as her work on the 1983 film Cujo and her collaborations with Rob Zombie. I had a great time chatting with Dee and hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
So how you like in Tucson?
Well, everybody asked me that. I haven't seen
let's
that
move
much.
on.
No.
Is this your first time?
It's my first time, believe it or not. I thought I had shot everywhere, but I guess not. The first thing that comes to mind is the sunset that I saw coming in.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh my God, it was breathtaking.
Where do you live?
LA.
Okay. Where are you from?
We do get a few Kansas.
Okay.
We get no sunsets here. Hardly any trees.
Yeah.
No hills.
No. So how are you liking this new phase of your career, going around doing cons and this kind of thing?
Oh, it's not new. I've been doing these for 30 years.
You've been doing it for 30 years? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So what keeps you going? What
and
keeps
I have
you doing
3
them?
films coming out.
I know.
Yeah.
You're one of the busiest people. It's impossible. I've been following you since I was a kid.
Really? Well, thanks.
And I like to keep up
Haven't
with your
changed
stuff.
a bit, have I?
No, not one bit. Well, okay, not where it matters. No, not where it matters. You've been one of the most consistent actors. No matter what you're in, you're always good. And it's something, and a lot of the stuff I think gets dismissed. And something like Cujo, you go back and watch that now, and that's one of the best performances of that year.
Thank you.
And that transcends genre.
That's my favorite film of mine.
One of mine too.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about that one, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you start the film at such a leveled, loving mother, and then once the movie reveals what it is, you have to be at this fever pitch for essentially like 60 minutes of the movie once you're inside that car. How do you pull that off where it's actually something that's energy? Yeah.
Lots and lots of energy and no ideas. I couldn't go in there. I never go in there with ideas. I never decide what I'm going to do before I get in the moment. I let the character tell me what to do. But it was, anytime you see a scene with a 6-year-old kid and a dog, you know that we've done it 10, 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
So totally blew out my adrenals. They treated me for exhaustion for 3 months afterwards.
Wow.
Literally just took my soul and threw it up on the screen.
Are you able to watch that now after going through that? Can you go back and look at that film? And
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't a lot, but when I see it, I'm right back.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, right back in the moment.
It's exhausting to watch the film,
Thank
and I mean
you.
that as a compliment.
Yeah,
I do.
it should be.
It's a rough watch. I mean, it's a wonderful film, incredibly well made. And I think that's the point of it. It is supposed to be an exhausting watch.
I have so many adults say to me, "Oh my God, Dee, I saw it when I was a kid. Now I have kids. It's a whole different movie."
I was 9 or 10, I think, the first time I saw it, because I'm 48. And so I think that would have been right about 85-ish when I saw it, somewhere in there.
I don't feel old at all.
I apologize.
It's all right.
But that kid right there is 8 years old. And I think about him seeing something like that now.
Well, or going through something like that.
Oh my God. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I as a parent, it taps into that whole.
You bet.
A kid in peril.
You can kill me, but don't kill my kid. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. As a kid, you can handle watching other children in peril. As an adult, watching kids in peril, it's not entertaining. Anymore. Yeah. It's just.
I hope that's not true.
No, I mean it hits really hard. I mean,
in a totally different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and you like read it or something like that, and as a kid, when I read that for the first time, it was something that was fine. There's kid murders, that kind of thing. I didn't really care about it. Now, as a parent, as an adult, I go back and I read it, and it's a much different experience.
Yeah.
So it's much harder to get through that. But how has your relationship with acting changed from when you started to now?
I don't know that it has.
No?
I mean, it's a whole different business now than when I started. You know, when I was coming up, if you did a guest star in a hit series and they loved you, you went back every year.
Yeah.
And did it. Now it's one and done, you know, and all the streaming. I swear I went to vote for the Emmys and I go, I don't know half these shows or half these people. It's just too much to keep up with. And I think the industry pays for it in a way.
Yeah.
I do. Even though it gives more opportunities. From an actor's point of view, thank you for the opportunity, but if nobody knows me or watches it, then what's the point?
It's true.
You know?
If it's in a vacuum, it's essentially a black box theater and it's never coming back again.
Yeah.
There's something that in streaming, it feels like things disappear. You know, when things, they just come, they just go.
They come and go and come and go and come and go.
And even small films that get a theatrical release, it feels like they have more resonance. And
yeah, I have a beautiful horror film out where I have a cameo in called Stream by the same people that did Terrifier.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's in limited release now, and it's just going to depend on people's word of mouth, and you know, so.
If anybody has the ability to build up word of mouth, it would be that group of people, the most unlikely hit movies of the last 20 years, probably.
I have a terrifying death in it. I'll just leave it at that.
How do you watch genre stuff on your own? Do you enjoy that? Or is it just something that is your sort of niche that you work in? Because you do other stuff outside of genre. It's what you're best known for. Like you've done a ton of stuff that's not genre.
I mean, I just finished 2 family Christmas movies.
There you go. Exactly.
You know? So I'm one of those lucky actors that can go back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, between things.
You're somebody that can jump from Rob Zombie and Hallmark, and it both feels very natural.
Yeah. And I love that. You know, when Rob sent me 3 from Hell, I wrote him back and I went, I have got to do this part because she was so far from who I am and what I usually do. I said, Rob, but if I do it, I have to look like shit. Okay, no, I don't want any makeup. I'm going to dye my hair brown. I need like horn-rimmed glasses. And he wrote back, okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, that's such
But
a good one.
The beauty of working with Rob is he knows exactly what he wants. He's a really great director. He's incredibly inventive. And he really trusts the people that he works with. And so we're just free to come up with whatever the character comes, you know. And that freedom is the difference for me between, it was a good film and holy hell, where did that film come from, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he makes films that feel like they're from another era.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is that freedom that they have, that it feels like they could spin out in any number of directions. You see actors making huge choices and just doing things, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, as dark as this stuff gets, I always smile during them. 3 from Hell, I just had a huge grin on my face during that film.
I don't know where Greta came from, but she was born in me the moment I read that script.
Yeah.
And, you know, that scene where I come in after Sherry's character has killed everybody. And Rob says, all right, Dee, well, everybody's dead now. All right, let's roll. I went, wait a minute. And I said, just wait a minute. And I just had to stand there and let Greta tell me. And as soon as it hit, I went, oh my God, I got it. And he goes, good, let's roll it, Rob. You know, but it takes a lot of trust between a director and an actor to be able to make that magic together.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Acting is so vulnerable. It's one of the things that why I was such a terrible actor. It was releasing the fear of embarrassment that is so difficult for me to get over, and for I think a lot of people that attempt acting, that it's just hard, and to make those choices that could be necessary for a film.
Yeah, see, I don't make choices.
What would you call it then? You're just in that moment?
Channeling.
Okay.
I just get out of the way and let the character, like in E.T., that dinner table scene.
Sure, yeah.
When he says he's in Mexico with Sally,
Yeah.
I felt all these tears come up. And I said, I don't want the kids to see me cry, so I left. Stephen came over and said, Dee, why did you get up and leave? That's not in the script. And I told him what happened to me. And he looked at me and turned around to his crew and he said, you got a half hour. I need another wall in the kitchen with a sink with running water. So he could take me from the table over to the sink and bring me back into that big close-up where I say he hates Mexico. And it all happened because Mary told me what to do. Stephen understood it and ran with the moment. And that's when, for me, the real magic on screen happens.
Wow. Are those the kind of moments that you long for in films, that you're looking for? That
always.
Okay.
Always. I mean, like the scene in Cujo where he says, I want my daddy, and I take him and I say, all right, I'm kissing your father, right?
Yeah.
And the producer came to me the next day and said, Dee, it's an amazing scene, but we're afraid the public won't like you. Will you watch it? Well, I never watched dailies, but I said, yeah, okay, I'll go watch it. And I watched it and I turned to him and I said, if you cut this scene, you're crazy. There's not a parent in the world who has not at least felt that emotion.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
And do you know it was one, if not the most best reviewed scene in the movie?
I completely agree, because it's something that there's an idea of parenting that we often show in film that's not honest parenting.
You think? Oh my God. You know, that's what I mean. If I had thought that through, I would have said, oh, that's too big a reaction. I should be gentler with him. He's scared. All that blah, 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 blah that we do, which isn't a real moment.
No.
You know?
Because you're not thinking about that in real life when you're in a moment like that.
Never. Yeah, if I'd have thought of penis breath in E.T., I would have never laughed. You know? But it was so real.
Yeah.
And when people see it, they go, oh my God, that's so real, you know?
Yeah.
So I just trust my characters, I guess.
Were you like that as soon as you started acting, or did it take time to find that?
No, I am. Well, let me rephrase that.
Very young at the time.
I wasn't. I was 27 when I started my career.
To be that really?
Yeah, I taught school.
Okay.
I taught high school for a while before I went off to be an actor.
Okay, real experience, real world.
Yeah, and then I studied with Uta Hagen, which is very much break it down. Where'd you come from? Where are you going to? What's your motivation?
Mm-hmm.
And I never did that before I studied with her, but I thought, wow, it's Uta Hagen. But it didn't work for me. I have the kind of mind, I can come to the end of a street and go, okay, there's the mountains, there's the ocean. Well, I've got to go right. It's always left. So I just don't, the less I reason, the better I am in a part. It's crazy, I know, but, and everybody works differently. You know, you have to find your own way. But when I found a teacher called Charles Conrad, changed my life.
How did Conrad change you?
Because he taught me this method.
Okay.
About getting your energy very high, and then you throw all your attention to the person or the werewolf or the dog you're working with. And really what that does is, and he didn't call it this, but it opens a channel for you.
And I'm assuming that creates a connection with the thing, or, you know, the individual that you're working with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because when it's raised to that level, you're not given the time to just wait for your turn to speak. You're actually reacting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most actors, 'cause I taught acting, for 18 years, and most actors, when they go into audition, they pull out the back of their head so they can watch what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't allow the energy to go out, and that's what the camera catches.
And it's all super small, though.
Super small.
In film acting, it's very subtle that kind of connection, but you can feel it. Even if you're not you're not a trained actor, you can tell when two people are not connecting. You can feel that distance between people because you're projected up
and
on
there's a lot of it right now. I'm not.
You don't have to
expand on that.
You don't have to name names. I was giving it a moment to breathe to see if you would. I didn't expect you to, but that's fine. So then, what keeps you going at this point? Then, like, what are the things that attract you to new roles and to different projects?
If the script's good and if the part's good, if I read the part like 3 from Hell and go, oh, I've got to do this part.
Yeah.
Or I read a part and I go, oh, I know her.
Sure.
And this will be such a nice, sweet vehicle that people will like to see,
You could be a part of somebody's Christmas tradition or possibly their Halloween tradition.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to use all the different parts of me, so I don't get bored.
Do you ever feel like is there a film that you feel connected to that represents you more than other films?
Oh, probably E.T.
Yeah? That's the closest to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so funny because when press people interview me, they go, how did you play that mother? You weren't a mother. I said, nobody had a mother.
Yeah.
And when they first asked me that, I realized that my father was a severe alcoholic. So he was not present. My mom was the breadwinner. I saw her be harried and crazy and loving like my mom, like Mary was. And so Mary for me was very easy.
Well, that's kind of the unspoken subtext of that film, though, that we really don't get into that part of that family dynamic, that we really don't see it, but that it's there, and it's not.
Stephen thinks I was the first single parent on screen.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any before that was in a mainstream film.
Well, I'm not old enough to think of any before. We're laughing now, everybody.
I apologize. It's not what I meant. But
No. I know that's not what you meant.
But the world changed a lot in that time period. It was just the idea of representation of families was so singular. There was a
Leave
version
It to
of
Beaver.
family. That's it.
Yeah.
And it was bullshit the whole time.
And, I had a young man come up to my table at a convention, and he said, Miss Wallace, I was in like 4th grade, and my parents got divorced, and we lived in a very small town in the South, and all my friends betrayed me, wouldn't talk to me. And then that summer, E.T. came out, and all of a sudden they had permission, and I was okay again. So that's the power of a movie. I'll
literally getting
share
goosebumps
another
right now.
beautiful story from E.T. that a woman said, you're a part of a miracle in my life. And I said, really, how so? And she said, my son is 10 years old and autistic. I had never heard him speak a word. And I took him to see the re-release of E.T. And on the way home, he said every line that E.T. said. Can you imagine not hearing your child? I get choked up just telling the story.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's my sister has a nonverbal child, so I understand that.
Have they seen E.T.?
I mean, I know they've seen it. I don't think they have yet, though.
I have.
You've seen it, though, Jakey?
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you like it? Good. He has good taste.
Yeah, he does. And so
you should suggest to them.
I'll throw it out there. Yeah, no, I think it's one of those ones that there's something in that.
Yeah,
It's
it
just,
bypasses walls.
it's a pretty magical film.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones
And
that
it's
just,
the truth. If we all would live with our hearts open and live in love, we'd all get home.
that's it.
Yeah, it's so simple and it's so true.
And one of the most challenging things to do, to live with an open heart, to not allow calluses to form over it, and to live with cynicism, and to be open is the challenge of aging.
And, I have a whole other business where I have a healing practice.
Oh, really?
Where I teach people how to direct their energy and consciously choose their reactions and their thoughts. It's really incredibly powerful work. I do 3 or 4 private sessions a day.
Really?
So I spend half my life doing horror films and the other half of my life healing people from fear. Somehow it works really well for me.
Well, aren't both of those exercises in dealing with trauma?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, we watch horror films to deal with the scary things that go that we don't want to deal with.
You
in our day-to-day
should
life.
Google the positive effects of horror films.
It's incredible.
It's crazy. They're good for our nervous system. They're good for our brain.
Yep.
And that's why every little kid wants to see the scary part in the Disney movie.
Of course.
My daughter used to say, "Mommy, lady get big part. Lady get big," and Ursula when she comes. So they can practice handling their fear in a safe place. We're doing the same thing.
Well, his favorite part of ET is when they're in the shed, when the lights come down, and it's the spooky part for him. That's the part he loves.
And I have grown men come to my table and say, "I'm still scared of ET." I just go, "Well, you're just a big wuss, aren't you?" But it's that scene. If you're too young and you see that scene, it's scary.
Oh, yeah. But let's talk about your other practice, though, the idea of healing and helping people move through energy. I would love that. No, because that's something that I'm really interested in, because there is this idea that I firmly believe in, that you can't control other people. The only thing you can truly control in the world is how you deal with and react to the world around you.
You bet.
That's it.
And your perception of what the world is.
Yep.
So a child's brain is locked in between the ages of conception and 8 years old.
Okay.
Whatever they're taught or modeled, their brain goes, that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
And until adults, I have all the time. I know I want to do this, Dee, and I can't. It's usually because of what they were taught or an experience they had before they were 8 years old. And once you start mining those things, it's incredible how powerfully your life takes off.
It could not be more true.
I was raised in the Midwest in a fairly poor family. Mm-hmm. And I remember my grandmother, who was one of the matriarchs of our church, and she would say, "They're the rich people. We're the good people."
Oh.
Well, come on.
Oh.
That's a major religious teaching.
Yeah.
That the more humble you are, the more God loves you. And so cut to me being in my early 30s, doing ET, where comparatively I wasn't making, the money that most.
But back to Kansas.
For me, it was more than my mother and father looked at in 10 years.
Sure.
And I couldn't understand why I was pulling back and not wanting to be seen. And then I remembered my grandmother saying that, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm one of them."
So what'd you do with it once you recognized
it? I decided that was a belief I did not want.
Good.
And what belief did I want? And I wanted to know that your consciousness isn't defined by the money you make. Your consciousness is defined by your heart.
Exactly.
And your love. So I love making money now because I get to give it to all the charities that I love, like little doggies, and and Save the Children, and I get to buy my 1-year-old grandson all kinds of neat little things to play with, and help my daughter and her son out. And
Yeah.
money's just, in the olden days, instead of paying me for a session, somebody would have brought me corn, right? It's just an exchange of energy. That's all it is. But how you define it is how your life is created.
It's your relationship with it
So
that's
if
important.
you go back to the good book, as you believe, it's delivered to you. There's no rules, no regulations. Whatever your belief system is and your perception of the world is, energy has to match that. So when you shift you and the perception you have of the world, all energy around you must shift, and that's brain science.
Well, I think it's pretty much impossible to deny that when you put negativity as your foot forward and you lean into that, you find more negativity. It's what you're looking for.
Sure, but yeah, because that's the way you see the world.
When you find positivity and you're looking for confirmation of your belief that there's good in everyone, you start finding that in everyone.
Absolutely. Every day I start my day, my intention today is to be love. Not have love or get love, but be love. And to send love out to everybody and everything and magnetize love back to me in every way. And that includes people helping me at the airport. It includes money. It includes, any interaction that I have with anybody.
How are you on that journey? How do you feel? Do you feel like that's a one you'll ever complete and get to the sort of like a fulfilled side of that where there's a fully realized self?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like I am. And I know that energy is always expanding and there is always more to learn about it.
I know nothing about it, next to nothing. But
Oh, I don't believe you.
there's intuitive
Just
things.
because you don't know it
I know it
mentally.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
then you know it.
Okay.
He just pointed to his heart.
Yeah.
If you know it in your heart, you know it. We're taught to go to our mind, and our mind is created to doubt and question everything. That's its job.
It's a protective mechanism. It's basically, that you should be.
Yeah, but that's not knowing.
No. It's kind of like a prejudice is a reaction. And
Always.
what you do with that reaction, it's not the prejudice that's
Yep.
important. It's the reaction to the prejudice that matters.
And what you do with that reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah, my channel says when you're in reaction, you're out of creation.
So how long have you been doing this for?
30 years.
How do you like it?
I live for it, really.
Yeah?
But, when I started really channeling consciously, I went, oh my God, this is what I do with my acting. I know what this is. So it wasn't, stuff used to happen to me all the time when I was a little girl. I just thought it was intuition or,
Yeah.
But
if you're truly present in that moment of acting and you're just channeling, as you put it, there has to be something cathartic in that, I would assume.
Oh.
That you're dealing with things that you can't
yeah.
even fully understand.
Yeah, and don't want to. I know there was one scene in Cujo, and when I'm not there, what I call there, I feel like there's bugs crawling all over me. So I said to Lewis, our director, I need 10 minutes. And I went and called my acting coach, Charles Conrad, and his secretary said, oh, Dee, he's teaching. He'll kill me. I said, please tell him I'm in the middle of a shoot. So he came on and he went, what do you want, Wallace? And I said, Charles, everything has been so easy and effortless, and I'm in this scene and it just feels horrible, and and he said, what's your idea? And I went, thanks, that's all I needed. And he said, I taught you that. Every day in class, I taught you don't have ideas. I said, it slipped up on me, Chuck. What can I say? And that's what it was. I had somehow gotten an idea of what that scene was and how it should be played. And Donna didn't want to do it that way. So as soon as I let go and just became Donna,
and Donna shows you what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Huh. How do you do that in multiple takes and get back? Is it just a different experience every time, or when they?
No, because you usually hit the truth.
Okay.
And when you hit the truth is really easy to do over and over, because you're not acting. You don't have to match it. You just have to be in the truth.
Be in the truth again, and it'll just be there.
Yeah,
you can
and
say
it always is. It's crazy, but it always is.
That's great advice. So
yeah, it is.
You taught acting for 18 years.
Yeah.
Were you teaching in a similar method than you were taught as well?
Oh, you bet. Okay. Wouldn't have taught him anything else. It's freedom as an actor.
Yeah.
It's really freedom.
What made you stop teaching acting?
I started working too much again.
Oh, okay.
And all my healing work was born and developed in the acting studio, which is interesting. People would get up and start a scene, and I would start getting all these downloads of information. And every day I would go, get to go teach. And one day I woke up and went, I got to go teach. 4 months later, I closed it.
Done?
Yeah. For everything, there's a season, And it was done. Its purpose was over.
Is that I think one of the things that would be attractive and hard for some people, attractive for others about acting is you kind of get to go to summer camp a couple times a year. You get to put on this show and get this group of people together, and you might not have that group of people together ever again, but you all are there for a very intense period of time for a couple weeks, couple months, depending on the shoot. And then you kind of move on to that next thing. Is that something about it that you like, or is it something that you...
There are things I like and I don't like. Tyne Daly and I tried to have lunch for an entire year.
Wow.
But with both our schedules, it just didn't happen. And, you get very, very, very close to a lot of people you work with.
Yeah.
And that's hard. When you have to leave them, that's hard.
It is, but there's something about having close connections with people, very intense, close connections that are brief, but they're lifelong. So you could pick up 10 years later when you have a connection with somebody like that, and you'll be no time past.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I so loved Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
When we did 10 together. And we stayed in touch, but then we lost touch. And then I saw him right before he passed, and he looked at me and he leaned over and he went, "You remember all those tabletops in Mexico we danced on?" I said, "I sure do, Dudley. It's one of the highlights of my life."
Okay, Dudley Moore, was he as just utterly charming as he appeared
Utterly.
to be? Okay.
And kind and sweet and funny. But see, there was another moment, that scene in 10 where Mary's in the bar. And, we did the scene, and Blake Edwards, our director, said, "All right, we're going on, we're moving on." And Dudley started playing. And I was so moved by watching him that I started to tear up. And Blake walked by and went, "All right, everybody, come back. We're gonna." And it ended up being a huge close-up of me and this beautiful interaction, which was not just about a sex scene.
Oh, no.
You know,
No.
you saw a human moment, and but that's what I mean. Good directors are open to those moments, and they see them and they expand on them.
You know, Blake Edwards was one of those guys that always found human moments in his films. As
prolific,
broad and as zany as his films got, he always found humanity in his stuff. So really underrated director, I think.
He was probably the most prolific writer, director, producer we've had.
Yeah, he was incredible.
And he did everything. Days of Wine and Roses, and Pink Panther, and
S.O.B., was that one of his?
Who?
S.O.B., was that one of his? Yeah. Yeah, it felt like there was one a year for a period of time there. There was just stuff coming out so frequently with him. But, my God, I haven't thought about him in a minute. Yeah, I need to go back and...
He took me aside after my last scene, and he said, Dee, you're one of the best actresses I've ever worked with. I want to send you to my agent, who was very, very big agent at big agency. So I went in and met with them all, and they looked at all my films, and they said, yeah, you're really amazing. Come back when you're making $100,000 a year. And I said, guys, when I'm making $100,000 a year, I won't need to come back here. And the next year I did E.T.
That moment's passed.
And I went, la, 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 la.
It's amazing. So then, okay, I just wonder, when you're do you think back on legacy and things that you've done and how you'll be remembered and that aspect of a career and putting something together, that kind of a body of work? You know, in thinking about like a Blake Edwards, you look at that and he had just such an incredible career. And that's something when I think about your filmography, you always do. You always know the job. I think you're an actor that understands.
I don't take it if I don't get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can go super broad or you can be very small at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
But it's got to come from a real place. Mm. And if it comes from a real place, you don't ever look at it as too much, you know. But I can tell you, hands down, the role I hope I'm remembered for the most, sorry, is being mom to my kid.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Yeah. Everything else that I've done is that's all that matters.
And they told me, all the specialists told me I'd never have a kid. I said, thanks, God and I have a different plan. It took me 6 years. And my daughter says, you know, Mom, there were 1 million souls up there. And finally I said, all right, I'll go. She's not going to give up. We laugh about that a lot. And my grandson is one. Just turned
congratulations. That's
you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter now?
35.
35. Wow. Good for you.
You bet.
Oh, that's so great. It's the most amazing thing.
People have told me all my life, you can't. I mean, when I finished teaching a year of high school, I said, I'm going to go to New York and be an actor. And everybody said, are you crazy? Nobody knows you. You don't know anybody. I said, thanks for sharing. I'm going anyway. And in less than 7 years, I started ET.
There you go.
And that's my message to everybody. Nobody else, don't let anybody else define you or what you're going to do or your dreams or your limitations. You know within you, you go where your passion is and you do it.
Absolutely. And I would take it a step further than that also and say when somebody presents a dream to you, there's a vulnerability, an emotional sort of piece that they're handing over to you. Don't say you can't. Say, how can I help you?
How can I?
What can I do to support you through that?
Because
you don't want to be the killer of dreams. You know,
you'd be surprised how many people do. Yeah. And you know why? Because if you don't live your dream, they get to stay safer in their own.
Yeah, but very few people live their dreams. And
You think?
why would you take it away from someone that's trying?
Yeah, because you can't. That's why.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I just, that's my answer to anybody that says you can't. First time I wrote a book. Oh, Dee, you don't know how. Thanks for sharing. Now I have 6.
There you go.
There you go.
I know that I can't write a book because I don't want to write a book.
There. See, and I know that I don't want to know all the technical shit. I hire producers and my assistant so that I can do the creative stuff. Don't ask me how to work an app on my phone. I don't know and I don't care. Give me a good part or give me a challenge to channel for you where your block is. Man, I'm there. But the technical, like I said, my brain will go, oh, go right. It's always left. No good at it.
Second guessing yourself and not going with your initial reaction is almost always a bad idea.
Almost always.
You know what you need to go, where you need to go and what you need. You know it. You don't know it outwardly, but inside you already know. So just follow your heart.
Yep.
Dee, it's amazing to meet you. This was really nice.
Thanks. This has been one of the best interviews I've ever had, I got to tell you.
Thank you so much. This was really, really nice to meet. It was so great to meet you. And I've been wanting to chat with you for a long time because I love your work. And thank you for doing stuff that it's left an indelible mark on my life. So I really appreciate. You're one of those people that I can go, when people ask why I love horror films and oddball stuff, and they don't get the horror community necessarily. I can show them something like Cujo and say, tell me that is not a worthy performance. Tell me that is not just something that should be recognized by the Academy or something along those lines. And I have yet to find somebody that pushes back on it. So.
Well, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to meet you.
Indeed.
All right. I'm going to click that. I would love that. Yeah. If she's okay with it.
Years gone, and what do we have to show? Wasted time that I know, and fear's gone, and where did all of it go? And my pride, and my mind follows my pride. So what's wrong with fixing and plastering though? Oh, nothing, not anymore. So sing your victory song, pretend that nothing is wrong, like you don't know. The bandits finally came on, the stars are left to show off. On with the show. Fading songs, let's not repeat the show.